This week, off screen.
We get some insight into the Black Panthers' Vanguard of the Revolution.
The end is nigh with Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension.
Ryan Reynolds and Ben Mendelsohn enjoy the Mississippi Grind.
Ed Oxenbould throws some paper planes.
And Vin Diesel is the last witch hunter.
All those to come and more off screen.
This is Off Screen. Off Screen. Off Screen. Off Screen. With the latest film news and reviews, this is Off Screen, the on-screen radio show.
Welcome to Off Screen. I'm Van Connor.
My name is Kase Allen.
Your name is in fact Kase Allen. I can confirm.
It is.
This.
It says that on my driver's license.
Does it?
Yeah,
oh,
it does.
Okay. So, right, we'll start then this week with The Last Witch Hunter, of which Vin Diesel is said Last Witch Hunter.
He is the eponymous last one.
He's the eponymous last one. Okay, so the general gist, you might think this is based on a comic book, by the way. It isn't. No. It is not. This is a completely original property. Do you remember those?
I've heard rumours.
I think the last one we had was probably... Well, Tomorrowland was one.
And that did really well, didn't it, box office?
That's the joke. So yes, so this is an original story. What you've got is Vin Diesel as a character named Calder. He is one of a set of 13th century witch hunters. So, he's not the last one at this stage. He and his tribe managed to corner the Witch Queen. That is her full name, by the way. We're never given any more than that. And as she takes them all out, Vin Diesel finally manages to drive the killing stake through her. But as one last act of vengeance, she grants him with immortality, the ultimate curse. Now, flash forward 800 years, he's in the present day, he's in 21st century New York, driving an Aston Martin no less, and looking like Vin Diesel. And apparently, as the movie begins, he's been on holiday to Abu Dhabi as well, so life is fairly sweet.
Probably filming a fast film.
Exactly, you almost think like they got him on the way home from filming.
Yeah.
So, where we are now is a new stage of sort of societal evolution where human beings exist unknowingly alongside this secret war, a la Blade, if you know what I mean, in which the witches police themselves effectively, and the only contingent agreement they have to subscribe to is the idea that no human beings are ever harmed, or indeed really discover the existence of magic. When they step out of line, guess who steps in to take them down, or say take them down, to bring them to the Witch Council.
The Witch Council?
The Witch Council. Who all look like sort of 80s backing dancers, which I think is actually a joke made in the film. And one day, when his Dolan, as they're called, which is sort of priest slash handler slash historical chronicler slash token Michael Caine role, when his Dolan is killed, or murdered, when his Dolan is murdered, Vin Diesel's Calder starts to investigate and discovers, would you not know it, something bigger is afoot. And it may tie into the very origins of Calder himself. Here's a clip.
So you're the new guy?
We've actually met before, a long time ago.
See that cornerstone? I watched him lay it in when this was nothing more than a cornfield. That was a long time ago.
I pledge my life and loyalty to you as the 37th Dolan. I swear to help you carry out your duty to the...
When they were building this city, construction crews discovered a mass gravesite 60 feet below ground, filled with thousands of forgotten slaves. Know what they did?
No.
Worked by night, filled the hole, and kept building. There are shades of evil everywhere.
So, The Last Witch Hunter is basically exactly as stupid as you think it's going to be.
Good.
No, it's kind of weird. So on the one hand, you have the sort of, we're in the real world, but we're using guns on supernatural creatures style of Constantine. You have the secret society, the secret supernatural society element of Blade. And then in the middle of it, you have this storyline, which seems to be an attempt to add grit to the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And there is actually one of the mainstream reviews for this has said the only surprise I got from The Last Witch Hunter was that it didn't star Nicolas Cage. The answer is this is slightly too coherent for Nicolas Cage.
Could have been a season of a witch follow up.
Really would have been a good one. Vin Diesel, it must be said, I still can't decide after having seen this film whether or not Vin Diesel can actually carry a movie outside of the Fast and Furious franchise. Vin Diesel is a movie star as long as he's within that assigned and specific role. This film does not, clear up those muddy waters any more than you already think it would. It's got a solid enough supporting cast. You've got Rose Leslie. That is her name, by the way. I did look it up.
Yes.
Rose Leslie, a.k.a.
Mrs. You Know Nothing Jon Snow.
Mrs. You Know Nothing Jon Snow. And everyone came out of the screen. Oh, it's Idris from Game of Thrones. Okay. Ygritte. Sorry, Ygritte, not Idris. That's Elba.
Yeah, Luther.
Yeah.
DCI.
And then you've got Elijah Wood, who's playing that Elijah Wood sort of orgy shucks role that he does so well.
But he did in Cooties last week.
He did. You do have that sort of socially acceptable Will Wheaton parallel that he draws. I am the cute face of Will Wheaton. That sort of performance that he brings in. And then you've got Michael Caine, who plays Michael Caine. As you expect him to.
Michael Caine as a priest.
Exactly. The dialogue is 95% exposition. Like, literally, you haven't seen anyone run into this many rooms and yell exposition since the last one of those Dan Brown adaptations. Right. When we know that was all Tom Hanks did. He runs into rooms. Oh, well, this is where the witch of the mildy tree lives, and in order to take down you need the sap of the mildy tree to meld with wolfsbane, and you put it in this magical lance of the Persephone, and you what? This is gibberish at best. I mean,
and we got another one of those films to look forward to next year.
Are we? Which one now?
Inferno.
Oh God!
Where he's got amnesia.
Yes, we have that to look forward to. Isn't that with Felicity Jones as well?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so it's not all bad. We can look at it. So the film is awful. Brack Eisner, who of course famously brought us not Hercules, is it? The Crazies, that was it. Yeah. He brought us The Crazies.
I thought Crazies was okay.
Right, well, he's taken this up to an almost that Rammstein level of video music video.
In Triple X.
Yeah. He's done that with this, and his choppy editing has reached such a stage where when there are actual action sequences, and there are about every 10 minutes, you can't see the end result. At one point, literally, the movie ends with Vin Diesel taking out the big gribbly gobbly or whatever it is, and you don't really see how he did it. What? That doesn't. No. You're like, oh, do you know what? It was 90 minutes and I was basically entertained. Who cares? I mean, the scenes with Vin Diesel and Michael Caine, they are agonising to sit through.
Really?
They really are. How are you doing, kid? Because he's immortal. So Michael Caine's like, yes, this is why we are great friends, kid. I keep telling you to go out and live your life. Well, when you get to be my age, kid. You're like, oh, shut up, Vin.
He says kid more times than Garrett Hedlund.
He really does. He really does. Yeah, he's on par with Garrett Hedlund for kid. Anyway, so it is Dross. You can save a lot of time by just watching Constantine again, or just go and watch The Sorcerer's Apprentice and have more fun. And
please watch. That's a great film.
Watch Sorcerer's Apprentice anyway, because it was the last time Nicolas Cage was really great, I think.
Yeah,
and
just having a really good time.
Yeah, I mean, to put it this way, there is a reason he's the last witch hunter. And this quite possibly could be the last Witch Hunter movie, so we'll leave it.
No more franchises for Vin.
No more franchises for Vin. No more franchises for that man. So should we have a look at the film news for the week then? Because
let's do it.
Got some rather interesting ones
I
this
think
week
so,
as well.
yeah.
So let's start with The Babysitter. This is the McG thing.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the dark comedy from McG. He's making this for New Line. And this, earlier in the week, Robbie Amell signed on to star in it.
I like him.
We watched The Duff together last weekend,
yeah.
didn't we? And we had a lot of fun. Merriment was had.
Yeah, merriment was had by all.
And he's now signed on to McGee's New Line dark comedy.
Cool. Is he going to be like the main guy, the lead?
I believe he'd be a love interest type.
A love interest, okay.
But of course, he's now been upstaged by none other than Bella Thorne. Bella Thorne, who sounds like she was named for a young adult novel, has joined. She does, doesn't she?
Like one like the Twilight offshoots. Yeah.
You just feel like it's because her surname's Thorne.
Yeah.
You just think.
Her first name's Bella as well.
Yeah, were your parents reading a lot of young adult novels? She sounds like she should be the main character in her own name.
Absolutely, yeah.
So she's now signed on as well. She won't be the title character, though. She won't be the babysitter. That will be Samara Weaving instead, who I must confess I'm not overly familiar with. She has been in something recently, because I knew the name. Yeah. But not enough to know who the hell she was. So, right, in the meanwhile as well. Live by Night.
Yeah, very, very, very excited for this.
I am as well. Dennis Lehane adaptation. Yeah. It's going to be directed by Ben Affleck. Yep. By Batfleck. It's going to be produced by Batfleck. It's going to be written by Batfleck. And it's going to star Batfleck.
Yeah.
And, well, now it's also going to star Chris Cooper as well. Now, I like this.
Yeah.
Now, I've not read the book.
good.
I confess I've not read the book, and I keep meaning to, and it's something that I feel very guilty for. I've read about half of Dennis Lehane's ones that have become films, and I've not read Live by Night yet. And when I looked into the character that Chris Cooper will be playing, which is of a Tampa, Florida sheriff whose daughter is an intingent part of the plot... Then I suddenly became very, very intrigued, because if anyone's going to make that work, it is Chris Cooper.
It's the part who was born to play.
There is a guy on TV at the moment in a series called Scandal. Oh, does Kase watch Scandal?
Religiously.
I'm a big fan of Scandal. I watch it in the gym every Friday morning, and the excessive number of love scenes do creep out a lot of the old people on the treadmills behind me. But but there is a guy in that series who looks exactly like Chris Cooper.
Incredible.
He just looks like
just like a pound shop Chris Cooper.
He's like Chris Cooper in 20 years, and he plays the character of Cyrus on Scandal. But that's neither here nor there. Let's move on then to another review. Mississippi Grind. Shall we take Mississippi Grind
Let's
on
do
next?
this. Yeah. So Deadpool and Ben Mendelsohn, who I love. I love Ben Mendelsohn.
Deadpool and the guy we just demanded was in a Star Wars movie, whether or not it made any sense.
It's gonna happen.
Did you know he kind of is, isn't he? I thought he is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he is.
He
wasn't though, and everyone just demanded it to the point that he is now in Rogue One.
Yeah.
So Ben Mendelsohn, who I didn't really notice until I think we had The Dark Knight Rises and Starred Up in a very short space of time, and he was in both. He makes an impression. He's a very good actor. So we now have Mississippi Grind, which is the latest effort from the duo who brought us Half Nelson, which I presume is a film you know.
I love that film. Shocker.
I'm shocked. I will feign my shock that you are a fan of Half Nelson. It stars a character who dresses entirely like you are right now. So
that is the truth.
It kind of adds up. He also wears flannel shirts and short trousers.
I think that is the only kind of comparison I will get to Ryan Gosling in my entire life.
You don't eat cereal either, then.
Never.
So this is from the duo who brought us Half Nelson. So Ben Mendelsohn is Jerry. He is a degenerate middle-aged gambler, estranged from his wife and daughter, and one day he happens upon a young man named Curtis, played by Ryan Reynolds. And wouldn't you know it, Curtis is the most charming gambler you've ever met in your life, but he's also something of a good luck charm for Jerry. And so it's seeking to repay the mounting pile of debts against him. Jerry enlists Curtis to go on a road trip with him to New Orleans in order to use the obtained luck to try his chances and pay off said debts. But along the way, well, they're going to learn a lot about each other and themselves. Here's a clip.
I can never last through those tournaments.
Why'd you buy in?
I like people.
Yeah? You should stuck around. You're a good player.
For a few hours, maybe, but I don't have the stamina for poker.
I gotta ask you. What?
Hold as I hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A pair of deuces. Really?
That's it.
That's all?
That's all.
Because I'm usually good at reading people, right? But you're all over the map. I can't spot your toe.
You want to know why?
Yeah.
I don't care about winning. I just like to play. I really do.
How come I've never seen you before?
Just passing through.
Where are you headed?
New Orleans.
Oh, man, I love New Orleans.
Me too.
What, you just headed down to New Orleans for the hell of it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that sounds all right.
So are you a Mendelssohn fan?
Yes.
You
big
are.
time.
I mean, what's your Mendelssohn go-to Mendelssohn role?
Startup is great. He's in a film called Animal Kingdom, which is really great Australian film.
Is he Australian?
Place Beyond the Pines. Yeah, he's Aussie.
Oh, I always think he's English for some reason. I don't know why.
What was that Jude Law submarine? Black Sea.
That was the
He was in
one
Black
I was
Sea.
trying to remember.
He just kind of pops up and makes everything 12% better.
12% better.
Exactly 12%.
I am a very big fan of Ben Mendelsohn, I must say. And it is Black Sea. That's what I'm trying to think of. I need to see Black Sea again, actually. The Black Sea is Norksec at depth. God bless you, Jude Law, and your terrible Scottish accent. That's why it's okay for
He
you
can't
to
really do
terrible.
any other accent apart from charming, affable British guy, can he?
No, not really. No, not really. Do we need much more from our Jude Law performances? I don't think we need terribly much more. So you've got two terrific performances at the centre of this from Mendelsohn and Reynolds, and they benefit from an excellent script, which basically it rounds out their relationship relationship very well, and it allows them to play very well off of one another. It's a relationship you can invest in quite heavily. You wholeheartedly buy it, and you move along. So every bump and knock that this relationship takes, you feel and you're affected by it, and you think, yes, these two are great. Ryan Reynolds hasn't been this good in years. I haven't seen Ryan Reynolds put his performance with this much effort since Buried. And that's the second time in a fortnight I've mentioned that.
Yeah, it is. When are you going to talk about it next week?
I will find it.
It's going to be a weekly feature.
When we're reviewing Spectre next week, we'll talk about Buried.
We'll drop it in, yeah.
We'll drop it in. Token Buried reference. And there are issues with it. I mean, it seems to be underdeveloped outside of the central duo, outside of Curtis and Jerry, Mendelsohn and Reynolds. The film doesn't seem wholeheartedly well developed. It seems like a lot of ideas have been put in and then just dropped by the wayside. Outside of Sienna Miller's character, for instance, there are no fully developed supporting characters in here. And Annalee Tipton turns up at one point as a sort of potential love interest for Jerry. And there seems to be a lot of setup in that character that never builds to or pays off on anything. And you kind of feel a bit confused as to why was that just an oversight in editing? Were you meant to leave that out? I'm confused. And not just because it's, a crime in my eyes to waste the talent of Annalee Tipton.
She is great.
She is great. I enjoy Annalee Tipton on screen. But she's one of the better things about Luc Besson's Lucy. But, aside from that, in the end, you will take away the stylish direction and you will take away those two performances from Ryan Reynolds and Ben Mendelsohn. And to be fair, you don't really need much more. This has no mainstream appeal anyway. It is a slow burn character drama. There's no mainstream appeal in this. So you think, okay, as long as I'm getting great direction, as long as I'm getting those two great performances, and I'm vaguely satisfied by the end of it, why not? What's not to love from that? So yeah. So some more film news then before we carry on. Do you have anything to report this week? Anything caught your eye?
The Oscars.
Oh yes.
Let's talk about this
because we actually watched the Oscars, you and I.
Yeah.
Not this last year. We did the year before.
Yeah, we did the year before, but yeah. Okay,
this is where I discovered that your fiancé is very militant about how you behave whilst watching the Oscars.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, you have to behave.
You have to set all of your predictions about a half hour beforehand.
The memoriam's on. Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Bette Midler is singing. Everybody be quiet.
Bette Midler is singing. You show your respect.
Yeah. Okay, so they have just announced who will be hosting next year.
Yes,
and it is a return, Chris Rock.
Chris Rock. Are you happy about that?
I'm happy about that. I quite enjoyed him when he last hosted. It was about 10 years ago. I think it was 2005.
I think it was 2005.
Yeah, it was a year before Jon Stewart did it for...
I feel kind of bad. I never watched any of the Jon Stewart ones. I feel kind of bad for that.
They were so good.
Well, I would imagine they would be. My thing with that one as well is it's kind of interesting to me. The guy who's running the Oscars now, the producer of it, was also a producer on Everybody Hates Chris.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of nepotism in there, but no, it's Chris Rock.
I was hoping that Key and Peele were going to be doing it.
That would have been amazing.
Maybe they'll get the Emmys first and then see how they can prove themselves.
And isn't it Tina Fey and Amy Poehler get the Globes? Is that how it works?
They get the Globes every year. Every year.
Because they're just that damn good, that's why.
Yeah, but I'm fine with him taking a bit of a chance.
Well, that actually was on my list, but now you've taken it, so
take that one off.
Speaking of people who are very good at their job, Peyton Reed. We must talk about Peyton Reed, who did such a good job at bringing Ant-Man to fruition after development hell, it would seem. Well, less development hell and more the hippie wants to drag his heels for half a decade. And then he gave us what has turned out to be one of Marvel's better regarded films. Yeah. Who'd have thunk it? So Ant-Man obviously turned out to be a phenomenal success. We're now getting a sequel, Ant-Man and the Wasp. And wouldn't you know it, Peyton Reed is returning to direct it, which makes him one of only 5 directors to have directed more than one of the MCU.
Favreau, Whedon,
Go on.
the Russos.
The Russos, go on. Who's the other?
Are we including Peyton Reed? Or?
Peyton Reed's one of 5, so you've got 3. Plus Peyton Reed's 4. Oh, who's the 5th?
It's somebody really obvious as well, isn't
It's someone really obvious because we all adore his film. And I met him and he's a damn nice chap. He's a hyperactive chap, but... James Gunn.
Oh my god. Well, it's not come out yet, so...
It's not come out yet. Well, neither's Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I thought it was an existing film.
Not an existing film, you sark. Right, so on to the next review then. Should we do paranormal inactivity, the ghost dimension?
In 3D.
In 3D.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so
set me up the plots, man.
Right, so here's the plot case. There's this family, right, and they move into this house, yeah?
Yeah, I got it.
And when they're in there, yeah, what happens is, right, there's these ghosts, right, yeah?
Have you slipped into your Michael Caine voice? You're going to be giving advice to Vin Diesel.
I'm doing the voice of every person in the audience I can hear during one of these screenings. And I mean the people who sit through 90 minutes of absolute boredom and then at the end turn around saying the broadest Yorkshire accent imaginable. That were right scary, that. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. You're an idiot.
It's not. That's why you kept looking at Facebook every 5 minutes.
That actually happened. That did actually happen.
I'm not surprised. Having worked in cinema for 6 years, I've seen that happen.
It's the only film franchise where you excuse people for being on their phones because you could understand them being that bored.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so what you've got this time around is yet another family who have moved into a house, which it transpires is the house that Katie and... Oh, God, I forget the name.
I don't think it matters.
The two little girls, as grandmother had in Paranormal Activity 3, which was the period piece 1, and now it's years later. The house was destroyed, has now been rebuilt. The family have moved in. While they are unpacking, they discover, would you not know it, a box of old VHS tapes and a camcorder. But here's where it gets interesting, Case. The camcorder has the ability to see through dimensions. It will show you ripples in the fabric of death and life. It will show you like creatures from other dimensions in like wibbly wobbly form, and this is shown to us through 3D.
That's even better than like an IMAX camera, that isn't it? Just...
you see these things through 3D as well. That's the 3D effect, is the wibbly wobbly black smoke kind of stuff, and it transpires as well that the other side, which is the girls in the past, their ghosts are in fact our heroes in the present, but our heroes in the present have ghosts of their own who are in fact the girls in the past. Do you see
I see it. Yeah.
So this is Paranormal Activity 5, and actually 6 technically, and we're looping back to 3 because are we including the Mexican one? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, you forgot that even existed.
Yeah, and
marked ones was it?
The marked ones, yes, marked for racist humour. Yes, that was it. And it was one of the most unintentional. It was an unintentional racial satire. That's what it was. And now, so we have a clip.
Katie, Christy, I want you to concentrate.
Concentrate? I need you to concentrate.
She's like in some sort of like trance state or something. They're inducing a trance in it.
Where'd you get this?
From a box of like 80 VHS tapes the old homeowners left in the basement.
This tape is like 20 years old.
Tell me what you see.
I think I see 2 men. What are your names?
Ryan. Mike.
We're the Fleege brothers.
Brothers. Daddy, I can't sleep.
What's going on?
I hear noises in my room.
You hear noises in your room? Okay, well, Daddy will go up and make sure everything's...
Bless you.
What the hell? So that is the clip of our heroes in the present watching video footage of the past and having interactions with it as it goes on. As in, someone sneezes in the present, they hear it in the past on the video. What do you know? So, yeah, okay. So, I mean, I'll be honest, I was hoping for some kind of great Final Destination 5. I'm saying Final Destination 5? Is it 5? Final Destination 5.
5-0.
5-0. The 5-0 Destination.
That's how it was written on the poster.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. I was hoping for some sort of Final Destination 5 loop around where it all came together and suddenly everything made sense. And that's why we had to sit through Final Destination 3. I was hoping for some sort of great loop. You don't get that, really. There is arcing back to the third film. But to be fair, after having sat through 5 of these, who's remembering them? I mean, it was difficult enough to remember them when they were 1 a year. We've now had, isn't it 18 months off, I think we've had now, something like that.
Something like that.
And the only thing I remember about any of these, I remember the third one, Paranormal Activity 4, was the one where they started trying to brand everything through Microsoft, so Skype and the Kinect. Yeah. And we got to see what evil looks like through the eyes of Microsoft's Kinect.
I remember the trailer.
Do you remember the trailer for that? Oh. And then we had the what I keep referring to as the Mexican one, where they had spinning chihuahuas on ceilings and everybody ate tortillas. Yep. And it had my favourite moment, my favourite ever moment in a horror movie, in which 2 cholos... that's the best way to use the term cholos. Responded to the presence of supernatural threats by whipping out shotguns and saying, "Cap this fool!"
Oh, no. I need to see that.
It was so bad. So bad. But, right, this continues the Paranormal Activity tradition now of being marginally better. They do get marginally better each and every time. Although not one of them still comes anywhere near qualifying as a halfway decent movie. They're all varying shades.
Even the first one.
Even the first one. I'm sorry, but no.
Because it's one of those franchises like Saw that people always say, "Oh, the first one was quite good." I kind of disagree with that.
I too disagree. No, I mean I like Saw. I must say, I like the Saw franchise. If this had even one film half as good as any of the Saw movies, I would have been very happy. However, it doesn't. Although, I mean, we have to point out there is a sort of loop around with Saw in one sense, because like Saw, this ends with a 3D entry in the franchise, and unlike Saw, it actually does something halfway decent with its 3D. This actually manages to use the 3D effect rather immersively, rather well. It's never quite explained why this family have a 3D camcorder, but I'll let it go.
That would be my main question.
I'll let it go. Dad's a bit of a hipster. It's fine. Dad's a bit of an early adopter type. It's fine. Oh, this is the other thing, because the story makes no sense, as none of these things ever do.
Of course not.
This franchise has such a convoluted mythology that even the Fast and Furious franchise are watching it and scratching their heads. But this film it's got a comic relief brother character who looks uncannily like Todd Phillips. And, I mean, really just looks like Todd Phillips. And then they've got, because all families have this gorgeous mid-20s, blonde, hot pants wearing feng shui expert who she's just there. And we don't know why. And she's just called Auntie. And I don't know why.
She's called Auntie?
She's called Auntie so-and-so. I don't know why you're here. Unlike the rest of the films as well, by the way, this one does drop the ball when it comes to the effects, purely by going full-on cartoony, like Roger Rabbit cartoony, at the end. It looks like hand-drawn 2D animation. It's ridiculously garish and sort of, I say, just...
a bit jarring.
Yeah, it is, given what you're accustomed to with this franchise. This is, I'm trying to remember the name of the director this time around. He is the editor of the series. He has been given the shot of directing the finale, which tells you how this process has worked out, doesn't it? That we've gone from, everyone directs this one, then the writer directs the next one, and now we're at the editor. Yeah. If this had carried on another 2 movies, we would have had the catering department in on the act.
T-Boy.
Yeah, the T-Boy would genuinely have fallen on the act after a while. Gregory Plotkin is the name of the series editor. Gregory Plotkin. And wouldn't
that's a great name.
I could do Friedkin, but I'd rather do Plotkin. But no, it is demonstrable rubbish, as all these films are. It's not terribly scary. I don't think this one even goes for jump scares.
I was going to say, has it got any jump scares?
I don't think this one even goes for that.
This is why I don't watch these kind of films generally, because I just hate it when people get scared super like easily and just... there's somebody in the door. I'm like, yeah.
No, I will tell you though, I ran into a mutual friend of ours who shall remain nameless. On the way,
will I be able to guess who it is?
Probably off a list of about 3, you would, yes. Who I ran into on the way into the screen, and then afterwards was told this person's response was, it was good and scary, but it's not scary though. Never mind. Do you know what? Who cares though, Kase? We're missing the silver lining here. It's done. It's over. This is the last.
Is it definitely the last one?
Well,
does it wrap everything?
It is, air quote, officially the last in the Paranormal Activity series. Although
that doesn't mean anything.
I'm gonna eat my words in 2 or 3 years' time when Paranormal Activity 7: Mission to Moscow opens. But until then, you know what? We survived, Kase. We made it.
We did it.
We made it through 6 of these buggers. 6 of them. It's over.
We can take on anything now.
We can.
Bring me more Transformers.
You know what? You can throw as many Transformers sequels as you like at me now, because you know what? There's one less god-awful franchise to have to suffer. Boom.
With the latest film news and reviews, this is Offscreen.
And we're back. So, shall we start with the box office top 10 then, Kase, before we crack on with the final 2 reviews?
Yeah, let's do it.
Number 10.
We have Everest.
Everest, she's dropped pretty quickly, hasn't it? It sort of came and went, that one, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think there's other films to watch in the IMAX.
I think so. I mean, it's like I say. I mean, I keep saying this. I wanted Vertical Limit. I got The Perfect Storm. I keep coming back to the runtime issue with it, which is it's a 2-hour film. It's an hour and 10, hour and 15 before you get to the inciting incident. That's a lot of character development for a film which largely then takes place in a blizzard, and you can't really tell anyone apart. And that's a bit of a problem. The same thing of, wasted female characters. I mean, Balthazar Kormaker does a decent enough job directorially with it, and I can see why it's an IMAX spectacle, because visually it's a very impressive film, but it is a very visually impressive disaster movie with certain caveats, and those caveats are worth considering if you're debating whether or not to throw down your 15 quid.
Number 9.
Brand new, The Lobster, which I haven't seen. I really, really want to see it.
I have not seen it either, so this is going to be a very short one. I haven't seen it either. I hear very, very good things.
So do I. It's such a great setup, great story for it.
Great cast as well. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll have a look next Wednesday. If it's in the top 10, I think you and I should belt this one out.
Definitely.
Number 8.
The Intern.
The Intern, which I like very much, although it's one of those films that has hints of something larger. If you've seen the trailer, you know the moment in the trailer in which she says, how have we gone from, gentlemen like Harrison Ford in a generation where this? And you're like, okay, there's something to say there. But unfortunately, the film doesn't say much on those kind of themes. It goes along the more traditional Nancy Meyers type themes.
Does it really need to say any more?
It's one of those. It does what it sets out to do, but occasionally it hints
just
that
like a
it
light
could
breezy
do other things. It's like hiring an electrician and then finding out he's actually also a master sculptor. But you know what I mean? He doesn't sculpt anything, but he just casually mentions every now and again, whilst he's rewiring your house, that
he's
he's
got like a BA in
sculpturing. Exactly, yeah. It's kind of like that. And of course, it's got Adam Devine in it. Adam Devine?
Let's say Devine.
Adam Devine, who I know from Pitch Perfect and Modern Family, and have recently rediscovered in Workaholics. Which,
it's a great show.
It is a great show. I think he's very funny in it as well. And there's a nice little supporting cast going on. But of course, it's all about Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway. And Anne Hathaway's doing that thing she does quite well. But De Niro is awake. That's the thing to bear in mind.
First time in about 4 years.
Very much so.
Number 7.
The Scottish Film.
The Scottish Film, which you've not seen.
I've still not seen. I will hopefully be seeing it soon. I did see another Mark Fassbender film very recently.
Was this Mr. Jobs?
It was indeed Mr. Jobs. Which
I know. I was getting on. I tried to tell London you were seeing it at that exact moment. Believe me, it killed me inside.
We'll talk about it in a few weeks. But
I look forward to it very much.
I think you will like it.
That's excellent. Well, I'm the apple whore of the pair of us, so...
Oh, that's it, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the Scottish film...
Well, the Sunday Times called it Shakespeare for the Game of Thrones generation, and...
Is that accurate?
Okay, do you know what? It's actually not far off the mark. I think it's slightly better than that, but... I do think, as I've said to you before, it ultimately comes down to it is the same old product in a slightly newer package. And no matter what packaging sort of comes in, it's still the same product. And whether or not you like that product is not really changed by the packaging in this case.
Number 6.
Sicario. You loved this, didn't you?
I loved this, and it has dropped really quickly in its second week, which actually I'm not terribly surprised at, because it's not a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
It is an amazing thriller, but it's not a crowd pleaser. No. And I think Del Toro will get some caveats in sort of pop culture, I think, for it. It will further cement the idea of the ruthless Benicio del Toro hitman type. But other than that, it's not got much in the way of mainstream appeal. I think it is a genuinely brilliant thriller, though, from Denis Villeneuve, I believe.
I always say that.
Who works excellently in tandem with cinematography by Roger Deakins. Roger, not Richard Deakins.
Number 5.
Crimson Peak, Mr. Del Toro.
Yeah, it's kind of strange this one's opened so low, but it's not got an awful lot to sell it, really. I mean, the general public don't tend to know who Guillermo del Toro is, really, and Tom Hiddleston's hardly a household name outside of, Loki. Loki's more of a household name than Tom Hiddleston is.
I would definitely agree with that. I think this might pick up in...
Half term?
Maybe half term, maybe when it is Halloween.
I think so. I think it is something that a lot of people would say for Halloween.
Absolutely.
And I think that they'd be served well in doing so. I think it is a good old fashioned, family horror film, except rated 15, like the good old days. It is Del Toro doing that thing that Del Toro does in that classic Universal horror / Hammer element. Yeah. It doesn't quite do for that genre what Pacific Rim did for Toho. Yeah. But it's enjoyable enough. It is fun enough. It is slightly too predictable for its own good. But Tom Hiddleston's a lot of fun in it. Del Toro's on form. What's not to love from that?
Number 4.
And he's still on Mars. The Martian.
Good old Matt Damon.
He's still farming those spuds.
Still farming them spuds. Well, this so far is one of my favourite films of this year. Hands down. It's a film that I keep... And I think it's a film as well that's going to get some pop culture recognition. You know, like...
in future... Yeah, definitely.
In future years, I think it will become a go-to pop culture reference. Like,
Yeah.
you know how Wilson became a pop culture reference being stranded? I think Potatoes will go down the same route.
Definitely, yeah.
For the same way. And I think it deserves to be. Like I say, it's Ridley Scott's best film for a long, long time. I think we're agreed on that.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if he gets a nomination.
You think?
Yeah, but I think it's going to be one of those things where, like, because he's never won, so I won't be surprised if he wins for us because they like awarding the big technical.
Do you think?
Like Alfonso Cuarón and.
This will
be his Departed.
It's like, we owe you one for all those years. Have it for the one that's basically entertaining.
That's it, yeah.
That's what it will be. And you know what it deserves to be? It's got a hell of a cast, a hell of a story, a hell of a script, actually.
Yeah, Drew Goddard.
Drew Goddard has some good work
Smashed
on
it.
this. And also, a hell of a soundtrack. And who'd have thought that one?
Number 3.
This film does not have a good soundtrack.
What is it?
Pan.
Oh, no, Pan does not have a good soundtrack.
Here we are now, entertainers, not.
Well, my favourite was, hey, ho, let's go.
Oh,
no.
Joey Ramone is rolling around in his giant 6'5" grave.
That's basically it, yeah. Oh, dear God, this is a terrible, terrible film. This is one of those films that in years to come, I think even Joe Wright will look back on and think, good Lord, what was I thinking? You know that Joel Schumacher interview in which he basically apologised.
Oh, he said sorry,
for Batman and Robin. I think Joe Wright may do something similar after this, because this is a stinker of a film. And no, everyone in it is terrible. The script's terrible. The direction's sort of half-hearted once it actually gets to Neverland, which
once it gets to Neverland, it's like Joe Wright isn't there.
It's
like some studio guy just took over.
Kind of is. And Garrett Hedlund, what the hell were you thinking? Awful performance. I'm hooked, kid. How can I help?
You know? Shut up, Carl Urban.
All I got left was my bones. But no, this is hands down, I think, one of the worst films of the year, surely. Like, it must be
one of the biggest kind of disappointments, but the trailers, I think, set it up quite nicely.
The trailers sold it quite well. It did feel needless, even in the trailers, but I don't think any of us saw the trailers and think that's going to be one of the year's biggest stinkers. Yeah. But here we are now, and you're not going to entertain us.
Number 2.
Suffragette. Kay Mulligan.
Suffragette did entertain me, surprisingly.
It did entertain, yeah.
I like Suffragette. I know some people have been quite down on it, and again, Sunday Times did not like it.
We're just going to be bad about them every week now.
No, I like Camilla. I like Camilla very much, and she and I like that she has her opinions and she sticks to them and she backs them up with at least sound reasoning.
I think you need to do that.
She didn't like Suffragette. Now I did, because I think Suffragette for me is a film that it is that bystander to history angle. I like the fact that it's not a wholehearted drama about the suffragettes. It is about one woman's struggle that happens to coincide with the suffragette movement.
It's not about Emily Pankhurst.
It's not about Emily Pankhurst. It's about Maud Watts. And I like that about it. And I like Carey Mulligan's performance in it, although one of these days I would pay good money to see Carey Mulligan smile. Just once. Just once. If there's a director out there who thinks who wants a challenge, just construct a film.
She might have smiled in an education.
No, I don't think so, surely. Just
Peter Sarsgaard buys her a car. She must smile.
But he's still Carey Mulligan. She wouldn't smile if he bought her a car. I mean, say, the director is up to the challenge. It's going to have to be a period piece, obviously.
Joe Wright. Get Joe Wright back up to form and get her...
There you go, Joe Wright. You want to redeem yourself in our eyes. Make a film in which Carey Mulligan smiles. But she's very, very good in it, as is Helena Bonham Carter, as is Meryl Streep, whose cameo is so perfectly timed in this, and it is a cameo. Let's not mince words on
it. She's on the main poster.
She's got main billing and everything. It's a cameo. It's Judi Dench in Shakespeare in Love. It's a cameo. And probably get an Oscar. Oh, don't get me wrong.
Well, Juno's got an Oscar for 8 minutes worth of work.
This will get an Oscar. This will get Oscar on. The film will. I think Meryl Streep will as well. So, no, and I really enjoyed it. I was gripped, I was moved, I was disheartened at times, and I really loved that cinematography as well, which I forget the name.
Yeah,
the guy
you
who did
Buried.
Well. He did Buried.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking...
Buried just comes up every week,
Buried,
doesn't it?
Yeah, good old Buried.
Number 1.
And the Drac Pack is back at number 1.
The Drac
Pack is back.
Is that actually a marketing slogan? Or
it is. Yeah,
okay, so I didn't just pull that out of my ass. It's actually...
No, it was on... Yeah, it might have been one of the posters for the first film. I think
Do you know,
used it again.
When I sort of came up with it in something I was writing, I remember feeling really bad about myself. I was like, oh God, I feel like I need to shower after coming out of that awful pun. And then it got pointed out to me, yeah, that's actually a marketing thing. I'm like, oh dear God, okay, I'm redeemed. Fantastic. I thought I was turning into John Mosby for a second there. That's the kind of awful pun he would come out with.
Yeah. But you really, really enjoyed this. I've seen the first Hotel Transylvania.
Not seen the second.
I've not seen the second one. I really enjoyed the first one.
I think you will enjoy the second. It is on par with the first. Very much so. It's very much on par. And it's one of those that builds on the successful elements of the first film and adds enough in the way of new material as well.
That's
through
good.
the creation of, for instance, Dennis or Denisovich.
Denisovich.
And you get to see more of the characters that you like and more facets, particularly to Drac, for instance, because you had the whole story arc in the first movie was about he was an overprotective father and he feared losing his daughter. And now he's a grandfather, he's the other way around. He's the reckless one, and his daughter is the overprotective one. And I think that's kind of
a good change.
That's a good twist. That kind of works. And the fact that it's a classically Lugosi-style Dracula just adds to the comedic element, which then gets bolstered, of course, by the addition of Mel Brooks
as Vlad,
which is fantastic for me. And like we pointed out last week, I didn't notice that Keegan-Michael Key had replaced CeeLo Green.
Yeah, he does good CeeLo.
And he does in fact do a good CeeLo. So hats off to you, Mr. Key. So should we do some more film news before we carry on? We have, of course, got some very sad news.
We certainly do. So there was a local film historian and movie buff that was quite well renowned in the area.
Can I just point out as well? Now, I didn't know him personally,
okay,
but I crossed paths with him about 3,000 times.
Yeah,
said hello to him in passing.
Yeah.
Didn't really know his story. Didn't know him, but I sort of crossed paths with him and said hello to him occasionally, and that was it. And it's one of those things when you find out who he's like, oh wow, that's
that guy. Yeah,
it's that guy. Okay.
Okay, so his name was Dr. Clifford Shaw. He was part of a. I don't know what the title of the film society was, but it was like a local film society. And he was a local film historian, went to the Sheffield Doc Fest.
He did. I knew this of him.
Year. And I used to work at Cineworld Sheffield and would see him, like yourself, every single week.
Every Friday, he was in every film. And I remember running into him in a preview of Despicable Me 2 once.
Really?
And him being strangely excited about it.
Yeah. But I remember being in a screen with him at the showroom a good couple of years ago. It was a screener of The Deer Hunter in 35mm, and he did a small talk beforehand.
All right.
Yeah, that was absolutely fascinating. But fantastic gentleman. We will be sorely missed.
Dr. Clifford Shaw then passed away this week. So on to different news then. Alec Baldwin's got a new film.
Oh, has he?
It's a bit of a come down after that, really, isn't it? Alec Baldwin's got a new film. It's not going to be as fun as his turn in Mission Impossible, but he's reteaming with Demi Moore.
Oh, really?
He is. Reteaming with Demi Moore. Michael Mailer's independent drama, Blind, it's called. And this is going to be the story of Alec Baldwin as a novelist, an author, who is blinded in a car accident which kills his wife, only to then begin a relationship with a married woman, played by Demi Moore, through which he rediscovers his lust for life and writing. So, what could go wrong? Could work. Pointless news of the week. New Line are moving forward on a sequel to Annabelle.
Why?
I don't know. Who are the people who liked Annabelle? Where have they dug up these people? Like, I would imagine
the house underneath the Paranormal Activity.
They were buried on the land. Yeah, that kind of adds up. So, should we move on to our next review? Then what have we got?
Okay, coming up now, Black Panther, Vanguard of the Revolution.
Well, this is the latest from Stanley Nelson, documentarian maker who specialises, it seems, in Black American history. To which you think, okay, fair enough. Always a topic you can mine a good documentary from. And of course, naturally enough, he has now turned his attention to the Black Panther Party. Is it the Black Panther Party? The Black Panther Organisation? I think they refer to it as the party.
It's a party, yeah.
So this is a documentary which takes us from the very beginnings of the formation of the Black Panther Party through to its not so much its downfall and its dissolution. I don't think it was ever really properly dissolved, but it's sort of fading away and the aftermath of its decay. Here's a clip made up of the trailer, incidentally.
The Black Panthers. Black Panther? The Black Panther Party.
Black Panther movement.
The Black Panthers were absolutely unique.
Being black in America meant that you didn't walk down the street with the same sense of safety and a sense of privilege as a white person. Attack dogs, fire hoses.
Police jump on you, beat you up, put the gun at your head. This is what we were going through on a daily basis.
We stand on the eve of a black revolution, brothers. Now we have voices within the community that we're not going to continue to turn the other cheek.
Black Panthers, Vanguard of the Revolution there. And right, I have to say on this film, this is one of the most entertaining documentaries you're going to have seen in a long, long time. This is like watching a Best Picture winner waiting to be adapted. And you watch the film and you think, how has there never been a straight mainstream movie on this? Because you wouldn't even need to change the script.
Must have been.
No, there've been films that have intersected with it. And I was talking to Greg Bird the other day, and I was telling him, he said, what films have you seen this week? And I said, I've seen this. Oh, Black Panther, Vanguard of the Revolution. He said, how was that? And I went, well, if like me, you went into the film and all you knew of the Black Panthers was that single scene in Forrest Gump, then you're going to learn a lot. Which, it's an exaggeration, because obviously this is the thing. We have our knowledge of the Black Panthers through various different films, period piece cinema, things like Malcolm X, things like that. We glean different aspects of it. So it's nice to have it all in one place for a change. And we get the story of the Black Panthers from their beginnings as a private defence group, effectively. They were a civilian defence group. The idea was it was legal for them to carry firearms in public. So they would turn up on the streets, and when they saw a white police officer accosting a black civilian, they would simply stand by, hands neatly folded, guns sticking out prominently, and they would effectively silently intimidate the police into behaving. To which you think, okay, that's kind of a neat idea. I've never heard it would work. I'd never heard it laid out like that before. And of course, then it spirals into social programs, things like they have a breakfast program for kids, and they have charity drives, things like that. And then, of course, the fractures begin to form within the organisation as certain members are sent to prison, certain members get ideas above their station, and as we're told at the very, very beginning of the film, by the end of it, no one quite knew which party they were a member of, and that in one way signifies a very big problem with the film, because the film picks a standpoint early on. This is effectively a charitable organisation that sort of went off the rails. That's the idea it goes with, and it doesn't really add much more to that narrative. It kind of wants to stick with that narrative. I think you're ignoring certain other aspects. Apparently there were over 50 people interviewed, but only 30 appear in the film. And the film constantly begs the question of exactly what those other 20 people had that didn't make it into the film. What kind of perceptive twist they may have added to Nelson's narrative. Now, the film has some great characters, some absolutely brilliant characters in there. I mean, it's got a lot of archival footage, for instance, of Huey Newton, Eldridge Cleaver, who was effectively... Eldridge Cleaver gets described at one point as... I'm going to paraphrase it because I can't say the full version on air. Okay. I'm going to paraphrase it as he does get referred to as insane. And in a way that just will have you absolutely howling. And that's the thing as well, the film is very, very funny. You wouldn't think it. This is a funny... You wouldn't think it. It's a funny film. There's a lot of humour in it. But it goes into areas, albeit briefly, that you don't quite expect it to. It, for instance, highlights the pop culture influence of the Black Panthers. They influenced fashion. The fact that that pigs became slang for police, that originated with the Black Panthers, apparently. The Black Panthers' attitude to gender politics is quite interesting as well. For instance, they featured more women in powerful positions, and men made the breakfast and things like that. That's really interesting. They were also a fashion influence. The leather, the afros, things like that. They were... Exactly, they were more of an influence than we really give them credit for, I think. And there's a lot of stuff in there that you just really had never considered. But also, it does work as a straight history lesson, albeit you do feel that some liberties have been taken. I'm not sure exactly what, but you can't help but feel throughout that there's some slight liberties being taken. It is also noticeable that no one really attached to Eldridge Cleaver, aside from his wife, no one really speaks up, I think, for Eldridge Cleaver, which I find very, very odd. say it's got a kick-ass soundtrack. Naturally enough.
You would expect that.
It has got a great soundtrack. It's got a neat little appearance from Ronald Reagan as well that you can't help but love. And if you know nothing of the Black Panthers, and I wouldn't say I knew nothing, I'd say I knew very little, you'll learn some stuff. If you know a lot about the Black Panthers, there's a nice sort of nostalgic revisionist sort of element to it. But if you're just looking for an entertaining documentary, look no further. This is a lot of fun. I mean, it shows you some absolutely horrible things, but there is some surprising fun in there. It's a PBS documentary, so I imagine it'll be on Netflix in about 20 minutes, but it is definitely one to watch. So, some more film news before we move on to our final review of the week. Oh, Joe Dante's got a new film. Have you heard of that?
Has he really? No, I haven't heard about this.
Joe Dante's got a new film. And this is going to be, wouldn't you know it, a supernatural thriller.
It's kind of in his wheelhouse, isn't it?
Go figure on this one. It's going to be called, I'm going to pronounce this, Labyrinthus. Okay. I think. Labyrinthus. So that's Joe Dante has a new film. Let us enjoy that one. Meanwhile, Jason and the Argonauts is getting a remake. Because,
of course it is.
Because ... money.
Because potential franchise. Because
Paramount need a franchise and Hercules didn't work out. I don't know, maybe that. Let's see what else we've got now. Back to the Future Day. We had that this week.
We did,
Did you watch any of the films?
I watched number 2.
I watched number 3.
Did you really? See, I would be controversial and say number 3 is my favourite.
Really?
Yeah.
Number 3 I watched only because it's the one of the 3 that I've seen the least. I've only seen number 3 about 3 dozen times. So
I would say number 3 is my favourite just because it was my favourite as a kid. And I just loved the Good Western when I was a kid.
Oh, my favourite was always been the second because I love the time travel science.
Well, they are all great. But...
I love the whole parallel timeline.
Jaws 19 is my favourite.
Jaws 19 is a great joke. Yeah. And did you? I think I'm trying to remember one of the picture houses, I believe, actually put it up as on their sign that they were showing Max Spielberg's Jaws 19, yeah.
Excellent.
But so Back to the Future Day turned out to be a bit of a profit churner for Universal. Do you know how much it pulled in?
No, how much?
Worldwide, Back to the Future Day earned Universal $4.8 million.
That's a good little earner, isn't it?
That's not a bad little...
For a film that's been out for 30 years.
Film that's been out for 30 years. It's still got some clout, it seems.
Fantastic.
So, fair play to them. Meanwhile, Walt Disney, final bit of news. Walt Disney have announced their own on-demand, UK-only streaming service. It's going to be called Disney Life. It's not going to feature Marvel or Star Wars.
Really?
That's interesting, isn't it? Possibly because those are part of their deal with Netflix, perhaps?
So, presumably they're going to pull the Disney classics and all the stuff that they have with Netflix.
I thought those were part of the deal with Netflix, but who knows?
They've got some crazy stuff on with Netflix.
They've
got all the 50s and 60s crazy live action.
They've not got Song of the South, though, have they?
No, I think there's a reason for that.
It's never Song of the South, is it?
You've just watched a Black Panther film. Why would you want to watch
That's very true, actually. Although Dumbo, I think, is more racially insensitive than Song of the South. But, so one final review then. Paper Planes, is it?
Yeah, it's Paper Planes.
Okay, so Paper Planes, which is this very sweet little Australian family drama. Also a family drama with a tinge of comedy to it. Stars Ed Oxenbould and Sam Worthington and Terry Norris. And Ed Oxenbould, you might remember as... And he's actually credited on the poster as being the star of Alexander the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Which, yes, I can say that 3 times fast. Sam Worthington, Avatar.
Oh, wait, is this the bad rapper kid?
This is the bad rapper kid from The Visit, yes. Now, first and foremost, I should point out, he's Australian.
I did not know
I did not know that. That kid's good with an accent, isn't he?
Take note, Jude Law.
Yeah, take note, Jude Law. This kid, this 12-year-old kid is kicking your ass, Jude Law. And so Ed Oxenbould plays Dylan. Ed Oxenbould plays Dylan, who is a young boy who's recently overcome the unexpected death of his mother. His father has overcome it less successfully, we shall say, his father being Sam Worthington. And one day at school, Dylan discovers that he, it turns out, has a natural gift for throwing paper aeroplanes. As you do, to the extent that he could actually be a world record holder. He is then swiftly entered into the World Paper Aeroplane Championships.
That doesn't exist.
No, that does exist. I looked into it.
You looked it up?
I looked into it. it does exist. And believe me, when you see it in the context of this film, it is the only sporting event you have ever seen that lasts less time than it takes Ronda Rousey to knock out an opponent. Because literally, these kids just rock up to a line and throw an airplane at the same exact moment, and then the event's over.
I think that the world is a much brighter place now that I know that. Now that I know that exists.
If you want me to be really technical, I could look at what the actual record is for you.
Yeah.
But so it's a family drama. Then young boy wants to, he wants to drag his dad out of depression, but also he wants to be the World Paper Airplane Champion. Here's a clip.
Where have you been?
At the paper plane competition, which was today. Maybe I should have put on one of the old videos that you're always watching. To go on my own, and I always missed the bus. All right? I tried to wake you, but...
Mm-hmm. But what? You just decided to take money from my wallet?
Yeah, to buy a bus ticket.
All right. Well, you're grounded. Huh?
I did it because you wouldn't wake up.
1 week.
Well, I made it through to the finals if you're interested.
Great.
The next week in Sydney.
So it is worth pointing out that this is, you know how we say that Robert De Niro's awake in The Intern?
Yeah.
Sam Worthington's awake in this.
No way.
Sam Worthington
comes out of the Avatar cryo sleep.
Sam Worthington comes out damn near likeable by the end of this film.
No.
But remember back in about 2009, 2010, when we kept getting told that Sam Worthington was a movie star and none of us could quite believe it?
Yeah, because Clash of the Titans.
Because Clash of the Titans, Rogue, Avatar...
Terminator.
Yeah,
I like Man on a Ledge.
I like Man on a Ledge very much as well.
That's good. I don't think it's because of him, though.
No, I do think he could have been replaced by Jai Courtney and the movie would have been just about as good. But
yeah, we'll wait for the follow-up when he plays his brother.
Yeah, we'll wait for that. Which movie? When is Jai Courtney going to play Sam Worthington's brother and put an end to this crisis once and for all?
I've never seen him in the same room at the same time.
I've not either. I think they are secretly. Yeah,
he's wearing a mask.
I think it is. I think it's like the...
it's like a Mission Impossible style mask.
I was going to say it was like Voldemort in the first Harry Potter movie where he can turn his head round. And
he's wearing a turban.
It's Sam Worthington in a turban and he's Jai Courtney on the back. Anyway, back to Paper Planes. So Sam Worthington's very, very good in this film. Very likeable. Very endearing. A solid dramatic performance from in a sort of family film context. Ed Oxenbould, very endearing child star. But of course, maximum props to Terry Norris as the granddad. And I fixate on him because he is a very integral point in describing the tone and humour of Paper Planes, which is it's very much a film for kids to watch with their grandparents. It kind of works on that level. It is an all-round family film, but it does have some of that grandparent humour. There is a moment in which it's not so subtly implied that Grandad has been boning most of the fellow residents of his nursing home, but it's done in this charming, family-friendly Australian way that you can't help but smile at and admire. I do think it's a really funny, really charming, really sweet little film. Adorable would be the best way to describe it.
It sounds adorable.
And that's it. I mean, it has flaws. I mean, the bully character in the film is really woefully poorly written, but also overplayed. So the end result is something akin to sort of Tom Felton's Harry Potter sort of character. You know, where it went a little bit panto. Very much the case here. And then David Wenham turns up.
No way.
Yeah, Faramir turns up as a pro golfer, and he's in this film for apparently no reason, other than he's just worked with the director an awful lot. And this is Robert Connolly directing, who's a sort of not really not internationally known, but he is quite a sort of consistent Australian director, and he's worked a lot with David Wenham, and you see it in the film. You're like, okay, this has the feel of I'll get the gang back together and we'll do a film together kind of thing, because he's worked with Ed Oxenbould as well, and it feels like I'll just get my mates on the casting together. I'll make a paper airplane movie. It was released in 3D overseas. When you see it in 2D in the UK, because it's only in 2D in the UK, you can tell what will and won't have been 3D. And actually, I would have been intrigued to have seen it in 3D. Because obviously it's paper airplanes. You kind of imagine.
I'm surprised that it was a 3D release. But I don't know, you can make anything.
We had this a year ago with T.S. Spivet.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because I saw that at a distributor show with Chris Wilson. We saw it in 3D. And I declared it to be the best use of 3D technology since Gravity. It was then released by Entertainment One in the United Kingdom in 2D. So, yeah, I'd only shown at the showroom in Sheffield, so... Make of that what you want. But no, I recommend Paper Planes. If you're looking for a good, fun family film, definitely check out Paper Planes. So, in the meanwhile, we've got to pick a film of the week, really, haven't we?
We've got to.
I'm going with the Black Panthers.
Okay.
I am, because if I'm going to watch any of these films again, I'm going to watch the Black Panther one.
I think you've sold Mississippi Grind to me. Not that I need
you would
selling
love it.
on it.
I think you would love it.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. I think the idea of a slow-burning character drama is very much your thing anyway.
That is completely me.
It is completely you, isn't it?
That's my entire life is just slow burning character drama.
I feel like the only question you have to ask is there a budget less than $5 million? Then I'm in.
Yeah, if it goes 1 cent over
if it's 1 cent over $5 million, you have lost my money, sir.
Yeah. As we start, have a top-lined a superhero film.
That's it, yeah.
Well, Ryan Reynolds will, unfortunately.
Well, yes. Will Ryan Reynolds be on his 4th one next? Is Deadpool's 4th one?
I think it. Well, what are we looking at? Blade, Green Lantern.
Don't forget Wolverine.
Oh, I tried to forget it.
Yeah, so this will be his 4th time, but only his 3rd character. Yeah, it's interesting to know. But yeah, Black Panthers, definitely check out Black Panthers, Vanguard of the Revolution. Damn fine documentary. Very entertaining, very interesting. And the behaviour of Eldridge Cleaver will amuse the hell out of you, if not outright terrify you. So, let's have a look at next week then. So we've got some interesting ones to come next week.
We've got a pretty big name coming up next week.
We've got a pretty big name to come up next week.
Yeah, what is that name?
That name is Under Milk Wood, the remake of the Dylan Thomas adaptation.
You played me like a fiddle, sir.
I did. No, I kid. That name is, in fact, Fresh Dressed, a documentary about the influence of hip-hop on the fashion world. No, I kid. Yeah. That name is Black Souls. A crime drama. No, I'm kidding. It is not. It is Taxi Tehran. Or is it? Is it, in fact, horror movie The Vatican Tapes? It could be that.
That'd be a better title for it.
Could it be gay culture documentary Do I Sound Gay by director David Thorpe? Or could it be that little indie film Spectre?
I think the second to last one.
I think it's Do I Sound Gay?
Definitely.
Right. Well, it's the thing I thought
Daniel
about,
Craig.
My favourite one is, when you're talking about Spectre, how many times are you going to use the word inspector? Yeah, how many times are you
they didn't think about that, did they? Come on, man.
Really
What are you doing?
But I was like, that's all to come next week off screen. In the meanwhile, pop along to onscreenfilm.com, go in our competition section, and we've got some interesting goodies to go. We've got the Ed Sheeran stuff to go away.
Oh yeah, signed posters and stuff. Cooties DVDs.
Cooties DVDs, great program stuff. We've got all loads of stuff to go, and loads of stuff still to come on there as well. So keep checking back. And as certain competition entrants have proven, you apparently can enter as many times as you like, hourly if needs be, and that has actually been attempted. So,
how badly do you want that novelty notebook?
Yeah, it's really true. So this has been a Candy Store production for On Screen. I've been Van Connor.
My name is Kase Allen.
And we'll be back next week.
Just show me the way to get out of here, and I'll be on my way.
You've been listening to Offscreen. For more news and reviews, visit onscreenfilm.com.